Quite an interesting night last night, wasn't it? When almost a week to the day after we had a supposedly flooded subway, with people walking to be noticed, sort of thing, and then we had an individual, I don't know, that was maybe I was supposed to go off on one, or think about it, or whatever, um, trying to be noticed. And then the next day I said, well, turn the page, sort of thing. Uh, and yeah, yesterday, last night, as these people tend to do, similar drug-ins, throughout the day, the type of shenanigans that had been going on, then we will almost certainly get in the lead up to me talking to a shrink at the local nut house, despite the fact that I'd asked for email. Anyway, right. And at the moment, I'm drugged up, as you'd expect, as I probably will be watching this afterwards, and all that. But yeah, um, you know, again, and they will, these people, the ad agency, as we can hear sirens in the background, waiting for an opportunity for drug-ins, or maybe not waiting for an opportunity for drug-ins. But anyway, that sort of type of stuff. Anyway, just, right, despite that last night, not long ago, I was in bed, and drug-ins trying to get me to think about themes that are no longer of interest to me in any really, there are other themes that I'm more interested in, let's put it that way. But then again, yeah, it's like, and then magical itches and so on and so forth, again, harking back to yesteryear. Yeah, and it's almost as if, isn't it, you're not allowed independent thought. Which again harks back to the architects, the vibe of the architects, the thought process of the architects. Around that time, the certain individual, Wayne Good, coming to my house in 97, 98. And how these drug-ins sort of never quite go there, do they? Sort of thing. But anyway, anyway, yeah, so, right, it's all a bit too dramatic for me. It's all a bit too Hollywood B movie for me. For example, looking outside my kitchen window this morning, looking at a couple of trees that were trying to be noticed, and it's so fucking boring, right? Really boring. Someone says to you, not interested. That should really be that, shouldn't it? But no, I said, I'll go to bed, I'll lie down, not allowed independent thought, even when I'm resting. And then, and also the magical itches and stuff like that. But again, that's off the back yet again of similar druggings happening last night and shenanigans and so on and so forth. Yeah, it is like, it's the same type of stuff. Almost the same type of, if not the same type of drug-ins. So yeah, while I'm lying in my room, it's very nice to have independent thought. Not allowed it, like I said. But like, yeah, I'll try and have a read today. I'm drugged up already because these are not the things you're supposed to say, is it? Or whatever. Like in bed and dare I have independent thought in Britain in 2025? I don't actually know. Dare I have had thought in Britain between 96 and 2000? Well, no, I daren't have. Sort of thing. But yeah. 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 This is again mature critique of as I get a message from the bear with me. All right, a message I didn't need to get from someone. Anyway, right. So basically today, it's a case of getting on with my day. We will see. Sort of off the back of notions of independent thought, an independent living sort of thing to a certain extent. That I will try to get into some reading. Probably won't be able to. That may continue till after the 16th of April. This is the power these people have conferred on themselves on the basis of how crazy they can be, sort of thing. Like I said, yeah, again, so lying in bed would be nice to have a rest. Drugged up to to try and get me to think about themes that prevent me and drugged up in a certain way to stop me having independent thought, which is a very nice thing to have. Thank you very much. Anyway, anyway, we should know the pattern by now. I'm guessing, right, that they'll continue to give it the runaround. There will be druggings again, druggings and shenanigans, a crescendo to try to if that's a term, to try to get to a position where they can come out with the likes of turn the page and see, sort of impose that sort of stuff. Like they impose, try to impose themes on your thinking that you wouldn't be thinking about because you're not allowed to think independently and just read a book and enjoy the book, the books, and so on and so forth. And then, like I said, try to position that or give the impression of positioning things like that that sort of just enables certain institutions to have yet more power than the power they've already got. And it sort of echoes back to what I said about architect power being the only permanent thing and a form of power that always needs more power. And you'll see that. You'll almost certainly see that in the lead up to my video call, if it takes place, with the shrink at the local nut house. A shrink apparently at the local nut house. That's just the way it is. So go to bed, not allowed independent thought, magical itches, and so on and so forth. They're really, looking at commercial radio, looking at commercial TV. It's incredibly boring. It's incredibly, poorly. It's just. You really do question the thinking behind, the thinking of the people behind it. But yeah, like I said, it would be nice to get on with some stuff, some topics without being drugged up, and so maybe if I feel tired, maybe if I feel legit, properly tired, rather than manufactured that way. But if I am manufactured that way, to go to bed and just let my mind think in things that minds should be able to think in 2025, I'd have thought. Anyway, yeah, this needs to be on. The point I made yesterday, towards the end of the video, last night's video, about wishing I'd not ever gone to college or university. You know, I hadn't actually covered it. It turned out in the video earlier on. It's like Amazon does get criticised, but credit where it's due. That company made it possible to say in a town like this, where WH Smith's would have a limited selection of books that sort of catered towards a very narrow demographic. You know, when Amazon came along, I think it was 1998. In the UK, you know, I was waiting for it as well to come because I'd seen it in America, the shop. I couldn't wait for it to come here because I knew, well, this is going to be great. And sure enough, it was, because all of a sudden, like I say, not like WH Smith's, in a way, not like the type of stuff that goes on here now. You know, you did have access to stuff that all of a sudden wasn't narrowly confined, wasn't limited, did allow you to pursue independent learning, and so on, and that was a really important moment, I think. But yeah, going to college, going to university, to me suggests too much conformity. And it is quite significant that I was really into that. But I don't think I really wish I hadn't have been. I mean, the only let's have a think. Off the top of my head, the only teacher I came across in further education, higher education, was a sociology teacher who was worth his salt. The guy was brilliant, really brilliant, and in his approach to his subject and his students, and that was great to see. But apart from that, the rest of it, it was. I wish I hadn't gone. I wish that Amazon had been around back then, something like Amazon, where you weren't confined to, essentially confined to a limited range of materials. But anyway, in a funny way, all these years later, after stuff like that, we get this restriction from independent thought, this attempt to narrow down options in the guise of care. But it's pretty. No, it's not for me. It's not for me. Which is why I reject the ad campaign, just wholesale. But like I said, like I've just said about the druggings, it's sort of quite interesting, isn't it? And when I go to bed, I'm not allowed to think independently. It's a whole industry can be built around that sort of thing, around stopping people thinking independently, which again does hark back to yesteryear with the architects and all the rest of them and so on and so forth. But anyway, today looks nice. I've laid off going out today. Sort of what happened when I went to lie down, sort of indicative of how it would have gone with the ad agency and the people who run around under it, taking orders from it. But yeah, it's all pretty boring stuff, isn't it? But independent thought isn't. Like I said, getting back to that, I don't think it'll ever be allowed to happen. That type of possibility of truly independent thought, of truly independent inquiry, by having access to a library that's worth its salt, that's worth looking at. And how that power came about, I think, is important, which is why I question the type of themes being pursued with drug-ins that sort of like takes the spotlight away from the architects, when it's really them who dictated pretty much everything that that tends to go on in so many ways. But yeah, that's the way it is. But interestingly enough, all of a sudden we don't see South Asians all over the place, do we? Which is quite significant, I think. And that's yeah. But that's an indication of how these people can go off on one, isn't it? Between 2016 and 2024, 2025, you couldn't get enough South Asians. Even the next shrink down the local nut house is a South Asian. But all of a sudden, like I said, quite astonishing. But yeah. So today, I'll even though it'll never be allowed to, I would have thought, such as the state of these people, if the type of stuff they tried to pull yesterday, which was almost a carbon copy of last Wednesday, I think it was, with Turn the Page, trying to be noticed. It sort of suggests also tying it in with the hospital, with that sort of stuff that goes on. Sort of suggests they're just going to keep on with the same old scenario. Maybe, who knows? It's I've got nothing to do with it, so should be of no interest to me. But like Kath and Stephen and Wayne and Nikki, oh no, you will think about what we want you to think about in ways we want you to think about it, sort of thing. Which sort of, with me, doesn't quite work, does it? And I wouldn't have thought with most people it would work. That's just the way it is. Right, so, what's going on there? They've got some big building things, something to be noticed, I'm sure. Anyway, so yeah, so they've sort of suggested what's really going on in many ways. That trying to put not allowing independent thought, not allowing not keeping on with the old stunts, which again is trying to stop independent thought, magical itches and so on and so forth. The druggings I'm starting to get now, again more of, and yeah. Yeah, great time that was. When in the guise of a company called Amazon, all of a sudden you can get access to a wealth of ideas. And now it's such a pity that this tacky 1950s Hollywood crap, which sort of owes so much to the architects, is, in terms of power and that sort of thing, so dominant.